Welcome to the Entertainment Engine.
Hi, my name's Peter Moore.
And I'm Bex Gregory.
And welcome to our first episode of the Entertainment Engine. I hope everybody is well and keeping safe. The idea behind this podcast is to provide clarity and information on the entertainment industry. It's a great passion of ours, and we are looking forward to sharing our knowledge and experience with you all.
And just to give you a flavour of the show each week, we'll be bringing you an in-depth area of the entertainment industry.
This week, we are looking at qualities to look for in a music manager. We will also bring in a special guest to some shows from the world of entertainment. The next part of the show is Cool Facts and Question of the Day, which is brought to you by my colleague Bex, which is going to be great.
This now leads me on to something really exciting, because I'll be hosting the Women in Business section for the creative industries, so be sure to stay tuned for that one.
We then move on to the latest entertainment news from music, film and TV from around the world. Okay, let's dig in. So, the first area within the entertainment engine I want to discuss, and I'm really passionate about this after being in the music industry pretty much for all my life, is the role of a music manager. And this is really quite a complicated area to discuss and to sort of get across really. So I'm going to sort of try and do my best to explain this sort of role and what you need to look for. And if you want to become a manager or if you're looking for a manager, then hopefully I can demystify a few areas and you can continue on your entertainment journey. And I've worked many years in the entertainment space, probably 15 of those years as it has been a manager and managing acts. This is an area you really need experience to become a music manager, and you need not just to understand one area, you need to understand really several areas, what's going on in the business. I personally think to be a good manager, you can't sort of just walk into it and suddenly want to manage a band, because you're going to need the knowledge, and knowledge is key, and experience is key, and it's difficult to get those. So you're going to need a variety of areas, and these areas really include live. You're going to need to know a lot about live. You're going to need to know about festivals and shows. You're going to need to know about merchandise, publishing, what a label does, what a remix is, and have a bit of a grasp on the legal area as well. And even what do the music industry governing bodies do? This is going to take an awful lot of networking, and in some cases you're going to waste your time. But it is a minefield, and it does take time to learn, but I assure you, you will get there, because at some point, and even in my career, I got to the point of actually where the penny actually dropped. I thought, now I understand what a publisher does. I understand what a music promoter does, and all the dots actually start coming together. So it's a really, as I said, a difficult area to focus on. But I think once you start to understand the mechanics of what you're trying to do, then I think all the little bits will fall into place. Now, whether you're looking at being a manager or you're an artist or band and you're actually looking for that first manager, you might even be more of an established act where you're looking for the next manager. Looking for that first music manager, or even an established music manager, going to that next step can actually be quite difficult. Either way, through my experience, I just wanted to share some points I think is really important in the music manager journey, and what a band, either or an individual artist, even if you're established or not, should actually be looking for. And there are several key areas to look for in a good music manager that really any band or artist should be looking at. Yeah, as I said sort of at the beginning, it's a really exciting and interesting area as well, and I've learned massives from just sort of being in the business and actually becoming a manager. And one of the biggest things that I would say as well is that ask lots of questions. Do lots of networking, talk to other bands, talk to other producers, talk to your friends that have got bands, or if they're looking, for a manager. Just be really inquisitive and ask lots of questions, because if you don't ask a question, you're never going to get an answer. And I think that's a key area as well. Just make a nuisance of yourself in a really good way. So now you've got a solid band and you're a solid artist and you've got songs to back you up, it's probably time to look for that manager. Of course, it could be one of your friends in the band that actually want to manage you. And that's really cool. There's nothing wrong with that, because I think, on the spot experience and actually taking the band forward as a band member wants to sort of manage the band is generally a natural progression. Most of the unsigned acts that I've worked with over the years have all, had a key person in the band that actually want to manage the band, or you get one of the band members that wants to look after the merchandise, one that will do live, and another one will take care of the money. And I think that's still a pretty good way to go, because what that tells a manager coming in is that the band have got aptitude to actually sort of take care of their own destiny, but the manager's coming in to actually sort of, fix all the nuts and bolts, screw them a bit more tighter so that the band's a bit more oiled and, going in a different direction, and maybe in a more solid direction, because the band are more concentrating on creating what they do, which is music and recording and providing great live shows. So really, as an artist in a band, when you're looking for a manager, there are key responsibilities for any music manager, and one of them is financial planning, one's publicity and marketing, and they also act as your advisor as well, to do with anything related to a band, regarding the business ventures. They should be by your side to actually advise you, and they should have a network of people that they can call upon, from attorneys in the US, or they might have a good solicitor in the UK. A good manager will always have resources or the ear to the ground of where he can actually get an answer from, and that's key. There are a few qualities that you need to look for in an excellent manager. Someone who will stand by you and stand by the band and help you find success within the music and entertainment business, and stand with you all the way is really, really important. If you've got that in a band manager, that's effectively they become the sort of, if you've got 4 members in a band and you've got your manager, he becomes the 5th person, and then when your manager assigns an attorney with the band, they become your 6th band member. So you're starting to build your team, and with a solid manager, and then you having a solid attorney on your team, that's a powerful combination. It lets the band be a bit more freer to do what you do best, which is go out and play live and make records. So really, what I'm saying there is experience. You need a manager that's got great experience. So when you're first starting, you may come and be approached, like I've said before, by potential managers that are looking to get into the business. And that's cool. That might be something that you could do with and you need at that time. And it's always great to have a friend that can help you. But as I said, the more you go through your journey, the more experienced manager you're actually going to need. And, managers also cover other key areas. They will look for a booking agent for you. They will look at tours. They will make the sound business decisions with you as a band, even choosing the label for your first single. There's these things that a manager, in my personal opinion, should have. And I'm sort of touching on another note, really. There should be a tick box for a music manager. It's like when you go to college or university, you should have a degree, or you should have some qualification in becoming a music manager. That's time and time again, I've seen people that just manage talent, whether it's a model, whether it's a band, an artist, or a painter, and they suddenly become a music manager, or they're a talent manager. They just be careful who you're talking to, and check these people out, and do your due diligence, because I don't think you'll go far wrong with that. Again, going into that area, checking the manager's due diligence, check the manager's roster. What bands have they actually looked after? It doesn't have to be a global act that sold millions of records, but they've got to show some experience of what they've done. And it might be, they manage a great local band that's done, local gigs, done a couple of festivals, they've had a single out, and the band could be really happy. Go and ask the questions. And also put the manager on the spot. What do they know about the business? Touching on what I said earlier, if the band members have all played a part in, putting out your merchandise, looking at what social media, as a band and members of the band, you will have an idea of what it takes to do your bit. So if you're sitting in front of a manager that can't justify what he or she can do or has done, and you're in the pit of your stomach, you're not getting a good feeling, then you walk away. It's as simple as that. It's best for you to walk away rather than making a bad decision, and because another manager will come along around the corner, and that's definitely for sure. So ask a lot of questions, be nosy, do your due diligence, and picking a music manager, it can be quite difficult. Again, your pit of your stomach will actually tell you an awful lot. Your gut reaction will actually tell you a lot, whether you like this person or you don't like this person, or the questions you've been asking around town or your community. You'll get a good feeling already. And sort of leads me on to another sort of real interesting point, really, is trustworthiness. This is the key factor in any relationship that you have going forward in your life, really. And one that when you're in a band and given the example that the label want to sign you and suddenly you've been offered quite a big deal, your manager's going to play a real key part in this, and you're going to really need to trust this person's direction and knowledge. So yeah, trust is a real key area for your manager, and they're going to be there by you on nearly everything you do. You're going to sleep, eat, drink, everything with your manager. You could be on tour, you're going to cry with them, you're going to shout at them, you're going to moan at them. 90% of the time you're going to moan as a band, because that's a lot of the times what bands do. And good managers can deflect that, and they can also provide a sort of pathway for you to move forward, because don't forget, this is the music business. As a band, really, you're interested in making great music and doing great live shows, and to be fair, that's really what it's all about. But a solid manager, as going back to what I said earlier in this podcast, good managers really know the business, and they will take care of pretty much everything for you. That's not to say that you shouldn't take care of your own destiny. You should, but having a good manager certainly helps navigate that process a little bit easier. So choose someone like you feel good about and you can trust. If you're not 100%, as I said before, just keep looking. It's like anything. If you go into a supermarket and you don't like a certain brand, you won't pick it up and eat it. You just won't like it. And it's also a dual relationship. The manager has to like you. He has to like what you're doing. And in some cases, if you've been doing local gigs or you've been to some festivals, or you've been being really busy, a manager will find you as well. And that's quite an interesting sort of mechanic to look at. They will knock on your door because you're obviously doing something right, and generally the part you're doing right is the music is resonating with people and you've got a great live show. I worked with several acts, and there's one act that sticks in my mind greatly, as I did a show in Kent, and the band were a cross between they were an unsigned band, but you wouldn't think so when you saw them play live. They were a cross between Rage Against the Machine meets Incubus. I know that's quite a powerful statement. And I was invited to see the band play, and I knew the people that own the venue and a really great local studio. So he invited me down and said, got to come and see this band. They're really cool. And touching on the points I have earlier, that they were looking for a manager, but they weren't quite sure what they were looking for. But what they had done fantastically, and still to this day, it's probably the best live performance I've seen. They left that stage just glistening with sweat and smoke from their performance. They were that good. So really, that's where managers come along, and they're hungry to find acts like that. And I was really, even to this day, this is sort of 30 years on, even to this day, there isn't an act that I've seen perform live that delivered that type of performance. So again, I'm sort of basically saying to you guys and girls out there, is that it does come down to live performance. If you do a great live performance and you got a great single and you're mastering your show, they will find you. So that's just something to keep under your hat and keep moving forward. It's like anything, football or building a car or building a house. The more practice you have, the better you become at it. Also as well, are you happy with this person to run your life? Transport you around the world. You could be a point where you're doing, you could be doing 50 festivals a year. You could be doing, from Glastonbury to Tea in the Park. You could be going to Oxygen in Ireland. You could be going to, Chicago Rock, Coachella. You've got to know that this person's with you as well. And also, the right manager you have good fun with. It'd be like your dad, your big brother, the person you don't like, the person you love, the person that's gone on a journey. It's like a marriage. So it's got to be right, for you and all the band. And are they humble? If they're a humble person and that they're not shouting about themselves too much and they just quietly go about it, then that's another great factor. Some managers have a lot more to say, and some managers go about their day to day. It just depends on what suits you as a band. So there's lots of factors that come into play, and you will know as a band, what you're looking for. You definitely know, and I think the gut reaction will tell you a lot. And also as well, you're enthusiastic about your music. You're passionate about your music. You're passionate about your single. You're passionate about your fans. That's why you got into this, and that's why most bands and musicians that I've come across, that's what they want to do. The next question to me was they want to sign to Sony. Or they want to sign to Warner, and my reaction has always been, well, that bit will happen, and that bit will happen based on, you doing a great live performance and honing your craft and putting out great singles. Don't worry about all that bit. That bit can happen, but if it doesn't happen, it doesn't matter. Still go on your journey and make great music and do live shows, because that's what people want, and you'll be proud of what you're doing. And I think, with that enthusiasm you and your band members have, that's what you want in a band manager. You want a manager that's as enthusiastic as you. If he's not interested or she's not interested in your music and just looking at you as a meal ticket to the next major label or the next big paycheck, then you've got to really consider that. They've got to be excited about your music. Otherwise, why are they there? At the end of the day, the same old adage. If you're not enthusiastic, how can you sell the product? I certainly wouldn't. If the bands I was looking at, if I didn't like the music and I didn't like them, it's not something that I'd want to pursue. So it does have a mutual respect with each other. And again, it's a great manager always wants to be with you every step of the way. And, they will, like I said, be there when you cry, when it's good fun, when you've done your first event on Glastonbury, or you've done your first local event down the pub. Doesn't matter what you do. The point here is that you've got steps in place to look in for that manager, and they're going to be part of a journey with you. So yeah, it's it's a really interesting journey, and I think my journey's been I've really enjoyed it, and it's been highs and lows for me. But one thing that's always sort of kept me going really is actually listening to great music. I think that never really leaves anybody. And I think it always comes down to live for me. Live is a great place to be, and I think that's where every great act is found, whether it's unsigned or whether it's major international act. You can't beat live music. I've attended many festivals over the years and live shows through clubs, pubs, big festivals, and generally people always want to find that that unsigned act, that little gem that sits in the corner. Yeah, okay, the fact of the matter is, most people go to big festivals because they want to see, the big headline act. Yeah, sure, I understand that, and that's what drives people in. But they also want to find you, the new act that, you've got together, you've been rehearsing, you've got your first opportunity at a festival and a show. Your manager's managed to, convince the promoter it's a good thing, and they're taking a chance on you. So yeah, it should be a great experience for you as well, and honing your skills in a live festival circuit is a great opportunity. And as I said, a great manager will want to be with you there all the way, and providing input for you, and like your dad, effectively. So I think your journey is going to be long, and a long one. As much music as possible, whether that's full albums, whether that's an EP, but the journey's going to be long and rich, and look forward to seeing what everyone's doing in the future. So just to sort of wrap up this session for everybody, just to touch on the points that we've expressed. Some of the things to look for in a manager is obviously great experience, as we've touched on. That's one of the main points. The other is trustworthiness. That's really, really important. And obviously look for, plenty of enthusiasm and energy within your manager. That's really important. Obviously going to be doing in the next podcast is looking at the second part of, what qualities to look for in a music manager and what other areas a band and artist needs to be looking at. Again, just information points for you and something to think about on your journey. And I look forward to sharing with you all next week in the next podcast. Thanks a lot.
The Entertainment Engine. Facts of the day.
Now, in this part of the show, I'm going to be passing over to Bex, where she's going to be providing us with some really interesting trivia and also a question of the day. So stay tuned, and Bex, good afternoon.
Oh, hey Pete. Yeah, I've been checking out some really fun random facts lately. And some of these points aren't actually about entertainment. Some of them are and some of them aren't. So I just thought it would bring a little bit of fun to the show, just to add a little bit of something different for everybody. And a really interesting one that I've actually just found today is I love horses, and I've always been fascinated with unicorns. But did you know that the unicorn is in fact actually the national animal of Scotland? I had no idea of that. In fact, the mythical unicorn was actually chosen because of its dominance and chivalry, as well as its purity and innocence in Celtic mythology. It's really good, isn't it?
Yeah, that's great about the unicorn. I had no idea. Do you have any more interesting facts to share with us today?
I certainly do. So this next interesting fact is about the king of rock and roll, Elvis, who actually only won 3 Grammys in his career. Although he did have 18 number 1 hits, but actually the record for the most Grammy wins belongs to George Solti, who was the longtime leader of the Chicago Symphony Orchestra, and he had 31 awards to his name.
Wow, that's really great, Bex. I didn't know that. Really looking forward to some fun facts for next week. Oh, and before you go, haven't you got a question for our listeners?
Yes, I do. So the question for this week is, in which London borough was David Bowie born? So if any of you lovely listeners out there know the answer, please drop us a message at anchor.fm/entertainment engine, and we can let you know the answer on next week's show. Entertainment news.
Thanks, Bex. Now we're going to start with the movie news. And apparently, Ryan Gosling is set to play the Wolfman for Universal Pictures. Following the blockbuster success with The Invisible Man, Universal is all set to reimagine the Wolfman, and finally found their 2-star Academy Award nominee, Ryan Gosling. The details are scarce at the moment, but it's described as a present-day story along the lines of Nightcrawler, apparently with a wolfy twist. Now, the next step for the studio on the development road is finding a director. At the moment, there are no clear front-runners just yet. The studio have been busy meeting filmmakers, and Corey Finley is among those in serious contention. And in other movie news, which I'm sure all you listeners are going to be really interested in this piece, due to the outbreak of COVID-19 earlier this year, Mission Impossible 7 had to stop filming. But apparently it's going to be restarting filming in September of this year, and the film's outdoor scenes are set to be shot first. Now, as we all know, plans to start a major tentpole movie like Mission Impossible 7 with huge crews, cast, multiple locations around the world will be seen as a major boost for the global film production industry, which I think is really, really encouraging. Also, the British Film Commission has published its guidelines for safe production of film and TV. There's something that companies will need to adopt moving forward, but I see this as really encouraging to see that the film world is slowly starting to move again due to the outbreak of COVID-19. Quite frankly, I'm really looking forward to Mission Impossible 7 and seeing the Wolfman. I think that's going to be really, really cool. Okay, so now we're going to look at the global music news, starting with Warner Music Group. Currently, the company's valuation is $12.8 billion. It's now worth $2.6 billion more overnight. Incredible. Warner Music Group's first day on the Nasdaq really couldn't have gone any better, and for its new shareholders. Earlier this month, in June, the major music company went public, making 77 million Class A shares of common stock available at a pre-market price of $25. Now that's a market cap value of around 2.616 billion during a single day's trading as a public company. I mean, wow. The Warner Group, who boasts some of the biggest music artists in the world, include Ed Sheeran, Bruno Mars and Coldplay. Staying with Warner just for a little bit, I believe labels such as Atlantic Records and Warner Records have announced they will be making contributions to Black Lives Matter, doing crucial work to combat racial injustice, which I think is great support. The more we do in the community, the better in my book. Okay. Now, what is happening in the indie music sector? Let's take a look. The hottest independent artist around today. Each week, I will pick a couple of indie acts who are making a splash in today's indie music scene. The first artist on the Music Engine Spotlight is Blue the Tiger from the USA. So, in 2020, it's proven to be the breakout year for the New York DJ, Blue the Tiger, having gained more than 10,000 new artist followers on Spotify alone in the last few months, and is currently sitting around 370,000 followers and 4.6 million likes on TikTok. Blue the Tiger has had 21 hot days, and her latest single is the most popular at 1.3 million combined views on YouTube and Spotify. The Tiger grew up playing bass guitar under the watchful eye of her artist's parents, under the Big Apple, New York, as her playground. This environment helped her foster her creativity and imagination. Certainly one to watch for the future. Okay, the next Music Engine Spotlight for today is the UK artist Dirty Blonde, providing indie anthemic folk. From his base in London, Dirty Blonde makes piano-based indie and has enjoyed over 270% increase in Spotify followers alone. Although the discography consists solely of singles, Dirty Blonde has gained 1.5 million combined streams across Spotify and YouTube, with a further 35,000 followers on Instagram. Again, certainly one to watch for the future. Nice to see some homegrown talent pushing the boundaries. Really good stuff. Okay then, more from music news next week when we pick two other indie acts to feature on the Music Engine Spotlight. Bye for now. Well, that's all for today's episode of The Entertainment Engine. Thanks for listening. Join us again next week when we talk more about the entertainment industry, where we delve a little bit deeper into what a music manager does. Plus, I will have all the latest news, updates from the music and film sectors from all the majors and the indies. It'd be great to have your feedback on the show. You can always drop us a message anytime. That would be really cool. So make sure you subscribe to the podcast at anchor.fm/entertainment engine so you never miss an episode. Thanks for listening and stay safe.
The Entertainment Engine.